In this video, I will explain some fingering chains made by my teacher Theo Gilleman in two works by Jan P Sweelinck, and I will comment the reasons why he suggested to me these chains. I have selected some passages from the Toccata in A minor, catalog number 296, as well as some excerpts from the variations on Mein junges Leben hat ein Ende, both pieces that I have worked during my master's studies. Sweelinck was the organist of the Oude Kerk in Amsterdam, and represents the highest development of the Dutch keyboard school. Sweelinck's pupils included the core of the North German organ school, as Heinrich Seidemann, Samuel and Gottfried Scheidt, Praetorius II, Melchior Schild, and Andreas Duben, among others. Now, I will play the first example, bar 60 of the Toccata in A minor. Here, Theo suggested to change my fingering in order to use per finger with the third on the strong note. Before, I used the first finger crossing, what was unusual at that time for this school, and I played it with the second on the strong note. Changing as Theo suggested and following the principles of Sweelinck schools, the E starts with second finger, and then the third finger goes on the F, the strong note, and then we use per fingers, 3-4, 3-4. We can listen how better it works, giving an interesting articulation 2 by 2 notes. In bar 63 of the same toccata, there is a motif which is repeated. In the examples from the English Virginalis schools, fingerings, we observe that when a design is repeated, the same fingering is preserved. Here, it is perfect to use the 3 to 3 fingers. The third finger goes on the strong part, and using it consecutively, the motifs are separated in a very natural way, much better than with any other fingering. As you can see, with the fingering I first used, the separation of the groups and the accent do not fall naturally, but with the new fingering it is much simpler and easier to obtain the articulation and the music accent. In bars 70 and 71, there is another example of a motif repeated. But in this case, the fingering which fits best is to play every 3 notes motif with the central fingers 4, 3 and 2. The reason for this is because in this school the gravity center of the right hand is on those central fingers, as we can appreciate on examples from Scheidemann's circle, giving preference to them to the use of first and fifth fingers, which are not used in the kind of passage. In bar 96, we find a good example for the left hand. If we take into account the fingerings used by the Spanish school, a passage like this would be played with 5-4-3-2-1, 4-3-2-1, and that was my first choice. However, in this school we consider better to play 5-4-3-2-1-2-1-2-1 with the second finger on the strong note. We have an example of this in a finger source of another toccata by Sweelinck. it is interesting to observe that the gravity center of the left hand and it is not the same as in the right hand. In the left hand, it is situated on fingers 3, 2 and 1. Another option to play this passage could be on the line of the English school, playing with 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, using also the second and first finger but with the first finger on the strong note. The difference between these three kinds of fingerings are that with the Spanish one, we get longer groups of 4 notes articulation. With the English one, the accent goes off on the first finger of the left hand. And with the Sweelinck School fingering, we get a first group of 4 notes and then pair fingers to 1 to 1, with the second finger on the strong note. To finish this video, I will show 2 examples from the variations on Mein junges Leben hat ein Ende. The first examples belong to the third variation. Before, I played the beginning of the right hand passage with 5, 1, 2. Applying the Sweelinck School principles, I change it in order to play the F with the second finger, and then the third finger falls on the G, which is the strong note, and then we continue with pairs of fingers until F finishes again with the third finger. The last examples appears also in the third variations, bar 48. There we found repeated notes for the right hand, and it is interesting to play it according to Samuel Scheidt specification in his Tabulatura Nova. He called these repeating notes imitazione tremula organi and says that it must be played with alternate fingers 3, 2. The same is stated by Tomás de Santa María in the Spanish school of the 16th century. The resulting is similar to a tremula where the effect of the same vibrating note is created.